I am a soul blazer. I change lives, I touch people's souls, and I open them up. I teach people how to be present and to be in their authentic soul. Do you guys know what imposters are? These untrained imposters, they reside on the stage of our brain, and they're trying to control us. But usually what happens is they make things worse. But the good news is that we can control them. We could take over and we could teach them to work for us instead of against us.
Hi, it's so good to be here. Today, I wanted to talk about doing and being. So I wanted to give you 3 ways to stop doing and to start being. Because today we have a disease, and the disease is always striving to do better, be more. And I'm all for that. I mean, I teach people how to lead better lives and goal setting. However, it's an epidemic. In my last workshops I've done, in my last few speaking events, everyone came up to me about talking about, how can I get here? How can I get there? My friend was here. This person got a raise. I didn't. So they're sharing about not being good enough and not measuring up. And what is measuring up? Who are we measuring up to? Is it our neighbors? Is it keeping up with the Joneses? It never ends. So I wanted to talk about just being in the moment. So I wanted to give 3 examples of how you can be in the moment. So we're talking about careers, relationship, health, your talents, vacations, competitiveness. All of this works within and causes stress and anxiety when you're not clear about who you are and what it exactly is that you want to do in this life. We only have one life. So if we're so busy running around doing stuff, caught up in your busyness, you're never going to really achieve what you want to achieve or get to where you want to go because you're too busy being busy. And people mistake being busy for being productive, and that's a big mistake. So we are going to be doing, talking about now about being is a sense of feeling. It's about being present to exactly who you are in this moment. And right now I'm petting a cat in this moment, rather than doing something to try and make improvements because you perceive yourself or your life as imperfect. And it may seem hard at first to make the switch, but it's really not. When you really think about your life and you think about, who am I right now? Am I happy right now? Am I happy doing what I'm doing right now? You're going to see a huge shift with very little effort, because so many times we're doing things that we don't want to do, but we're doing it for other people. So here are 3 ways that you could really start being instead of doing. So the first one is decide who it is you really want to be and how you want to spend your time. And take the time to do what you feel is good for you. Take the time out to breathe. Take the time out to just look at the, trees, smell some flowers. Oscar Wilde said, be you, everyone else is taken. Are you being you right now? Or are you doing something based on how others labeled you? I'm being a lawyer because my parents wanted me to, or a doctor, even though you can't stand the sight of blood. I had a client who was a top surgeon, and he was in one of my workshops, and I could see he was so unhappy. Then after the week-long workshop, it was in Costa Rica, I met with everyone one-on-one, and I said, why are you here? You don't seem like you want to be here. And he said, well, actually, I just came to take pictures. I'm like, you signed up for a SoulBlazing retreat and flew all the way to Costa Rica to take pictures. You could have done that on your own. This is kind of expensive. And he said, well, I'm a doctor and I don't really like being a doctor. And we went on for about a half an hour about what that meant. And the bottom line was, he was an only child, and his parents wanted a doctor or lawyer, and they were very well-to-do and important people in their community, and they could not handle anything less from him. So that's what he set out to do. But he said, I actually hate it. So he had a bad bedside manner. He was mean to his wife, his kids. He didn't have close relationships. So after talking to him, and about 6 months later, he ended up quitting his job and being a writer. And he loved it. And he wrote fiction, and he wrote about everything that he experienced while being a doctor and in school and all that. And he was so much happier. And he was he was living the life he wanted to live. He was living his dream about not being under pressure and waking up so early and being, he didn't even like the sight of blood. It's like, how are you a doctor? How are you a surgeon? None of that really excited him. So once you live your dream and stop living for other people, then that's when your life really starts. And when you're truly giving your gift, that's when your life starts. There's a thing called the Acorn Theory. And when you are, we all have a seed. And when you live your life from that seed and you grow it, and that's what I teach about your imposters and your authentic soul. So your authentic soul knows your vision. It's the visionary. And your imposters are there to kind of stop you in your tracks and make you learn and grow and stretch. So if everything was so easy, everyone would do it. So our imposters were created from wounds that we've had as children. Our parents caused it, or teachers or siblings. Somebody hurt you in some way, and we put on a mask to protect ourselves. And that mask is what I label as imposters. And that last mask could be, oh, I'm a victim, and you live that your whole life, or I'm an overthinker, I never get things done, or I'm not a finisher, or you procrastinate everything, or you're a seductor. You realize using, manipulation and sex appeal to get what you want or to manipulate others. So what mask are you wearing? If you take that off, you will be more what I'm talking about, being instead of doing. And so many times in life, our parents try to push something on us, or culture. There's so many expectations on us. So let me answer this question. When you truly understand yourself, you understand your nature, purpose, and actions, and the site. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Darren. That is so true. We have to be who we are. We have to understand ourselves. And that seems so easy, but it's one of the hardest things in the world to do, because we're so trained to be people pleasers or to achieve. So think about what's important to you in your life, and take the time and take the steps to honor those things, because it's so important. You're going to see a shift in your health and your mental well-being. It's going to, skyrocket. So choose. Number 2 is choose to be happy in each moment, because this is all we really have. I got the honor of spending time with the Dalai Lama in 2015. And I said, what is the meaning of life? And he said, the meaning of life is just to be happy. It's just to be happy, nothing else. We have all these things that we got to get done. We've got to make this much money. We've got to have a bigger house, a better car, more friends. We've got to travel more places. You just have to be happy. So what makes you happy? Find that seed. Then I learned that happiness is a choice. You don't have to get it from outside sources. Every decision you make either makes you happy or unhappy. So happiness comes from being in the moment and being truly, authentically who you are. And you should be who you are, because everyone else is taken. So be you and live fully in that. And just focus on what makes you happy. What are you passionate about? What comes naturally to you? And then you'll thrive. In my workshops, a few people said, how do you find out what you're passionate about? And I always found that so intriguing, because I think it comes very naturally to some people. But I think we've been so brainwashed and programmed as children, especially some parents do that more than others, of this is who you are, this is who you like. I come from a Middle Eastern background, and I was certainly told, certain ways to be, and, how I should think, politically, and the way to be, and who to like, who to date, who my friendship should be, how to dress, all of that, very strict. And I know a lot of my clients have that too from different parts of the world. So when you actually start to take the time to strip that away and say, okay, when you're being there for someone else, you are doing something for someone else. You are not being you. But when you truly start taking what I call the masks and saying, does that feel right? Does that feel right? And a great way to do that is to keep a book, a little journal, and just write it down. Even food. Is this food that I like, or am I eating it for some other reason? You should eat healthy, but what do you like? There's always choices, and it always comes down to the small things, the nitty-gritty. So you, again, just think about what comes naturally to you, and you will thrive if you do what you're good at, and if you focus on that. So number 3 is be in the moment. Keep an open heart. Stay out of your head and do the basics that I'm sure you've heard before, but they're tried and true. Practice forgiveness. It doesn't help you to hold anger inside. Have gratitude, meditate, start noticing things around you, the smells, the textures. This morning I was at the park. I dropped my daughter off at 7:15 at a park, and then she takes the bus to school, and it was so beautiful just walking and breathing the fresh air and feeling the wind brush across my face and listening to some of the children play, and some parents who are playing baseball with their kids and listening to the ball pop on the bat. All those seem so simple, but when you're there and being in the moment, it takes you out of your head, and it actually helps with your neural pathways, and it helps with your stress levels, and it helps with burning fat and overall well-being. So when you master your being, you will stop living in the past, stop thinking about what happened yesterday or last year or 5 years ago, even 15 years ago. I had someone who's in their 60s say, well, when I was in 7th grade, this is what happened. My dad said this to me, so therefore I couldn't do this and that. And, couldn't go to college, couldn't have the career they wanted because they thought they were dumb. So that is insane. That is something that happened like 1 minute maybe of your life 30, 40 years ago, and you're still living your life based on that. So living from your past does not work. Living in the woulda, coulda, oughta, shoulda doesn't work. That standpoint just keeps you in that energy and keeps you in the past, and you can't feel alive. You can't thrive. You can't even have healthy relationships because you're thinking you're not worthy. You're thinking you're not good enough. You're thinking, everyone else is doing that. That job is already taken. Who wants to hear me? Every profession is filled up, but your voice is unique. So a thing I came up for with my clients is the SOUL, soul. I'm SoulBlazing. Stop and get quiet inside and observe what is happening to you right now. What are you feeling, and why are you feeling that? Then the U is understand your fears and anxiety that you have. And L is liberate yourselves from them. And I teach that in my ongoing Zoom classes, and I do one-on-ones, and I speak all over. So you could go to my website and find out where I'm teaching or what I'm doing next. But I always have ongoing Zoom classes, and we get to the bottom of the soul, the stop, observe, understand, and liberate, where you could really dive deep into what is holding you back. So you get to go from doing to being to creating, and then living from your heart, not in your head. Your relationships, your health, your career, everything will thrive with those very easy steps. So let's start shifting from doing and being and become happy and healthier together. I'd love to see you on one of my Zooms. So have a great day, and thank you for joining me today. And I'll see you next time.
I'm Lisa Haisha, creator of SoulBlazing. I hack how you can change the negative thoughts in your head that hold you back. I call them imposters. I introduce you to them, teach you how to befriend them, and co-create with them, releasing old negative narratives. As a keynote speaker at your next event, I'll help your team turn into master communicators with more camaraderie, which brings more efficiency and growth to your organization. So join me and make shift happen.
Thank you